Well, good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Monday, April 3rd, 2023. And our top story today, it's boomers versus millennials in the housing market Hunger Games. And joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Deidre Woollard is with the Motley Fool. Deidre, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Happy to be here.
Before we get into the Hunger Games, and the audience is going to find out exactly what we're talking about this morning, I want to ask you about the mortgage rate marketplace. What are you seeing and what are you hearing?
I'm seeing a lot of volatility. The Fed has continued to hike interest rates, a little bit smaller of a hike last time, but we seem to be gearing toward a pause there. So that should be good news for the mortgage market in general. But we're still seeing a lot of up and down, and that's just leading to a lot of uncertainty with buyers kind of tending to rush in and then rush out. So I'm hoping that the volatility ends soon.
And I would imagine that has an impact on home buying, right? If you don't know if rates are going to continue to go up, if you don't know if there's going to be a pause, even though there's an indirect relationship to mortgage rates, it's kind of like watching the old tennis match, right? You go over here, you go over here, you go over here, you go over here. You don't really know which way to focus as a home buyer.
Yeah, and we've seen that reflected in some of the earnings reports from the home builders, which reported that they saw interest go up in January and February when the interest rates started to stabilize a little bit, maybe get a little bit lower. And then when the mortgage rates ticked back up again, then they saw a little bit of a retreat.
All right, let's talk about our main point today, or our main topic, which is there seems to be a Hunger Games, and this is the movie starring Jennifer Lawrence. I think it was based on a book, very successful trilogy of maybe it was 4 movies, right, or trilogy of movies. Anyway, it was a great movie. I actually liked it, but there seems to be a Hunger Games that's going on between boomers, baby boomers, and millennials when it comes to buying homes. What can you tell us about this, Deidre?
Well, gee, as a Gen Xer, I'm a little left out of the loop, but you've got these two massive populations, right? You've got your boomers and your Gen Xers. I'm sorry, your millennials. Your millennials have been the leading home buying audience since 2014. And so the NAR profile of buyers and sellers, for the first time since then, boomers are now the biggest buyers of homes, which really surprised everyone, because we think of boomers as downsizing, as selling, and they are the biggest sellers of homes, but they're also buying a lot, partly just because they have more money.
Well, they have more money, but how much of this is related to the decision to age in place? And we've been talking with you about that and others about this kind of this theme, which is, hey, I don't want to go in a community, or if I go in a community, I want it to be my own separate home. How much how much of that and that thinking is driving some of this increase in booming baby boomer home buying?
Well, I think one of the things that makes this report particularly interesting was that you're not seeing a rush to the 55 plus communities. Of the people that are eligible for that, only around 7% are opting for the 55 plus community, but more of them are opting for the multi-generational. So I think a lot of the baby boomers are starting to plan in advance and planning to have their kids move in with them or move in with their kids, and they buy the house. So I think that's some of what's happening here.
And we're both Gen Xers. Are we just left out because maybe we all don't have any money? Is that, I mean, my parents, by the way, are boomers. My parents were born in the 1940s. I don't want to out them completely in terms of their age. They're still doing fine, by the way. But why are we left out? Do we not have any money? Do we have other financial focuses right now?
No, Gen Xers are still buying. We're a smaller population, so we're not buying as much. And also the other thing that's really interesting is people are staying in their homes so much longer. So the traditional thing used to be you had to stay in your house 5 to 7 years. That was the good financial planning to sort of like to get profit when you sell. Now people plan, according to this survey that came out, planning to stay 15 years. And other surveys I've seen have said people stay an average of now 10 to 12 as opposed to 5 to 7. So nobody's moving, which means that there's not a lot of inventory, which is part of why it really is the Hunger Games when you're trying to find a house.
Let's talk about that. The Hunger Games, again, referring to the movie, but it's a kind of a competition where only one person leaves the arena, but it's like a life and death. This isn't life and death, but how is that competition unfolding? Are people, there are multiple bids on a home, and there have been multiple bids on a home. How is that all transpiring?
Well, part of the issue here is that a lot of times for millennials and people younger than millennials, it's a first time purchase, right? And so first time purchases were down. They're usually coming around 30%, down to about 26%. And so part of that is if you're the boomer, you're probably selling a house, so you've got the gains from that to put into a new house. If you're a millennial or younger, you're tapping into your savings, you're maybe selling stock, you're maybe dipping into your retirement accounts, you're trying to get money from somewhere else. So it's a much different situation, and you probably don't have the ability to get into a bidding war. You don't have much room. You're sort of at the end of how much you can spend, and so that means you're disadvantaged.
Yeah, well, you are disadvantaged, but could it be where parents maybe they don't want you living in their home, so maybe they're like, okay, well, let's prop up little Sally or Big Sally and Big Johnny and help them with a home. And is that an opportunity?
That definitely is something that we're seeing more and more of. You and I have talked before about kids just staying in the house so much longer. When we were growing up, it was 18 and out the door. Now kids are coming back after college, staying in their 20s. So there is some of that incentive to get the kids maybe out of the house. But then by the time, especially now, the other thing I'm thinking about is you've got people who had kids when they were older. So by the time that the kids are kind of ready to leave the nest, parents actually may need more help. So hence maybe perhaps the need for those larger houses.
Yeah, and you bring it up. It's that caregiving. We've covered it on the program.
Yep.
A lot of us our age are helping out our parents. That's important. And so maybe younger people may be drawn in there. Deidre, I need to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about the Hunger Games and the home buying between millennials and boomers. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're joined this morning by Deidre Woollard of the Motley Fool. Deidre, thanks as always for sticking around with us for segment number 2.
Happy to be here.
And I'm actually going to check out the Hunger Games, that whole trilogy, I think, this coming weekend. We'll see. I really enjoyed that movie. I think Jennifer Lawrence is a great actress. That Silver Linings Playbook, by the way, that was a great movie. I really I thought that was one of her better ones. All right. I don't know. We're not a movie critic. Maybe it's like the future of this program will be Siskel and Ebert, if people are familiar with that. Maybe not. And now I'm really dating myself. But let's talk about how to level that playing field a little bit, Deidre. And are there used to be like FHA and certain loans that would be available so that you didn't have to put as much money down, 10%, 5%, you would pay mortgage insurance, things like that. What can be done to kind of create that balancing between these generations that are kind of going up against it when it comes to home buying?
FHA programs are still in place. There are programs in place for first-time home buyers. There are down payment assistance programs. So there are some things to level the playing field. The question, though, is it enough? And can people find homes in the areas they need? The other thing that I'm watching too is where is the demand going versus where the supply is. And I think that's an important thing because our whole world changed with remote work, right? And so the good thing is people have more flexibility, at least for now, but that may be shifting. So what I'm watching is some of the suburbs and exurbs might be buying opportunities if people maybe regret their purchases and want to move out.
Yeah, and to your point, people moved out during the pandemic to certain vicinities. They want to get out of the big city, maybe because of COVID, maybe because they just had enough and there wasn't enough good food there. People maybe moving back. Deidre, what about creating more inventory, more homes? I know you and I talked about that. There was difficulty getting materials, difficulty getting labor. That was all leading to this not glut, a deficit, a contraction in the number of homes. Is that still the case, or are home builders looking to ramp up? They got to meet demand.
Well, the problem is that the home buyers aren't aiming to ramp up right now. Permits are down, starts are down. The home builders are mostly completing everything they already had halfway built because the prices are stabilizing. So for the first time last month for existing homes, we had the year-over-year price go down. First time in 131 months. So that's almost 11 years. So we're seeing this moderation of prices. So home builders are looking at the situation. They're paying more for supplies. They're paying more for labor. They're paying more for land, and they're not able to raise prices. They're having to offer concessions. They don't want to build in that environment. So on the new home side, you're not going to see a massive spike in inventory. And on the existing side, people are staying longer. They're not looking to sell. And if they are looking to sell, they're looking at a situation in which they had a 2 to 3% mortgage and going up to a 5 to 7% mortgage. They don't want to do that. They get sticker shock. So you've got these two problems that don't really seem to have a resolution yet.
So Deidre, is it, if you don't have the cash on hand, if I'm looking at two deals and forgetting the age, because I don't know if you can even disclose what the age is, but you look at two deals, one's an all cash deal or one's less, more down payment versus something like an FHA or 10%. I'm probably going to go with one that gives me more cash, meaning I'm the seller. I'm going to look at the one that's going to give me more cash up front, right? Because I want that cash so that I can invest it, maybe roll it into my next house, et cetera. Is my thinking correct on that in terms of what the seller is going to go for? Because they have to make the decision with whom to transact their business with.
Sometimes, but not always. I worked in real estate for a while, worked with a lot of agents at brokerages, and you never know what's going to work. There's a lot of controversy about whether or not buyers should submit letters, videos, or sort of pleas to the seller, which sometimes works, sometimes backfires. It depends. So sometimes the seller will take the deal that isn't the biggest cash deal for a lot of reasons. Maybe they don't want to sell to an investor or something like that. So usually the cash wins, but not always.
Yeah, I was going to say in the movie The Hunger Games, there was no pleading. At least there may have been pleading, Deidre, but similarly, people were going to they were going to cut you, kill you regardless. I mean, there's absolutely no wiggle room. And it seems like that is where we are right now, which is, hey, there's competition, there's a limited amount of inventory, and people are just going to have at it. And he who has the gold, or she who has the gold, makes the rules.
Yes, but keep watching those home prices because they're definitely stabilizing. So that's your silver lining here.
All right. Well, last question, Deidre. I want to pivot off of the homes for just 1 second. Want to get your take on the commercial real estate marketplace. That seems to be an area of deficiency in our economy, but I want to get your insight into that real quick.
Yeah, this is the thing that's keeping me up at night. It's what's happening with commercial, especially with office. We're seeing some buildings go into special servicing. We're seeing just the start of some real serious issues there. So I'm watching that a lot. You also want to watch connection to regional banks, because a lot of those banks are the ones that are holding these commercial loans. So that's another way that this ties to what we're seeing in banking. So it is absolutely something to keep watching.
And so how does the Silicon Valley Bank, the Signature Bank, some of these other banks play into that? Were they holding some of these mortgages for some of these commercial real estate endeavors?
Yes, absolutely. Less so Silicon Valley Bank, because they mostly were investing in startups, more so with Signature, and they're trying to sell off now $60 billion in commercial loans. That was announced yesterday, and they're trying to sell them off in pools. So the thing I'm going to watch is who is going to buy those loans, and what are we going to see with how that happens, and then is there going to be fallout from that?
Well, the real estate market, like a lot of markets, it's so dynamic, Deidre. I can see why you have a lot of fun being involved in this for so many decades. And look, we love having your perspective. We really appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
All right, thank you.
And that wraps up this episode of BRNAM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, subscribe to our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse, for all the latest curated news in lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more, and all in one place. Want to check out our archives? Then check out our streaming partners. There are over 300 to choose from. We're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRNAM. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving. Don't forget, roll with the changes. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the First Lifestyle and Wellness Network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.
Tax audits, tax liens, wage garnishments.
Every day we hear stories like this about good folks who are simply struggling to pay their bills. Each of them are living a frightening IRS tax nightmare, and they are afraid it will destroy their lives.
I'm a divorced single mom, and my ex-husband left me and the kids with a lot of unpaid bills, including unpaid taxes. I was really starting to show my stress on my kids because the IRS had sent me a letter demanding a huge payment from me. I couldn't afford it. So then the IRS was threatening to garnish my wages. I'm already living paycheck to paycheck. That would have put me over the edge financially.
It truly seemed hopeless, but then a friend at work told her to call the tax relief line.
The people at the tax relief line, they told me about something called innocent spouse relief. They worked it out so that all of the taxes from my ex are not my problem. I don't know how that works, and I don't care. All I care about is that I don't owe the IRS a dime, and they are not going to take my paycheck.
Even if it seems hopeless, you should call the number on your screen right now. There is absolutely no cost for the call or the consultation. You are under no obligation. If you are worried that the IRS could garnish your wages, seize your assets, even take your home, call us right now. The Tax Relief Line is here to help you. Now you have a knowledgeable, professional team of tax experts that are ready to negotiate with the IRS and fight for you to save you money. The Tax Relief Line's professionals have successfully negotiated thousands of cases, reducing and sometimes even eliminating the tax debt for their clients. It's very easy to get started. Simply call the number on your screen right now. You don't have to live in fear anymore. The call and the consultation are free.